Good evening, everybody, for the regular board meeting for June 14th, 2023. By the way, today is Flag Day, just in case you didn't know. I'd like to call the meeting to order at 5 o'clock. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. Ready to begin?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Tonight we have Director Phillips and Director Hayes. Director Snyder, I believe, is online.
Yes, I'm here.
So, and then President Kujawa is on vacation. So that there's 4 out of the 5 directors here. Item 1, if you've got an agenda packet, item 1 is approval of the agenda. Mr. Bartz, is there any changes to the agenda?
No changes to the agenda tonight.
Is there a motion to approve the agenda
I'll
as
move the
listed?
agenda.
I'll second.
I'll
A
second.
first and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Yay.
Nay? Approval? Yes.
Because we have a director attending remotely, we'll need to do all votes
By roll call vote. Okay, so I will go to a roll call vote for, thank you, Mr. Kennedy. To approving the agenda, Mr. Hayes?
Aye.
Mr. Phillips? Ms. Phillips?
Aye.
Director Snyder?
Aye.
Director Roberts is aye. Motion carries. We move to item 2 under public comment. Under this item, any of the public can comment on anything that is not in the current agenda. Is there anybody here that has an issue that is currently not on the agenda? No? Is there anybody online who has? No?
I have a question. That is to do with the tax, so that considered the agenda?
Yes, that's part of the agenda.
All right.
Yes?
Can we turn the volume up a little?
It's all the way up. Okay, I'll try to speak in the mic. All right, so I guess there is no other public comment. Community reports. Ms. Ward, is there anybody on? Is anybody from the school, sheriffs? No? Okay, that makes that easy. We'll move to item 3, which is the consent item. On the consent items list, we have the approval of the minutes of the last meeting, approval of contractor payments, approval of board stipends and reimbursements, and acceptance of May disbursements. Is there any director who wishes to pull one of these items for discussion? And if not, may I have a motion to approve?
I'll make a motion.
Greg makes a motion.
I'll second.
We have a second. Okay, roll call vote. To approve the motion, Director Hayes,
Aye.
Director Phillips,
Aye.
Director Snyder,
Aye.
Director Roberts, aye. Consent items are approved. We had nothing removed from the consent items. Presentations, we'll move to item 6, but we'll have a short staff presentation before we move to the public hearing on solid waste service rates. Ms. Ward.
Okay, I'm going to give an abridged version of the presentation we have been providing at 3 separate community information meetings. I see some familiar faces here, so thanks for joining us again. So I'm going to start with the solid waste landscape for our community. So San Bernardino County owns our landfill and our transfer station. And the landfills and transfer stations are operated by a company called Athens. The transfer station in Phelan, of course, is off of Buckwheat. It's no longer an active dump, but they actually take material there and transfer it to another location for permanent disposal. And you can self-haul using your land use pass. That's what the county calls it, but we refer to it as our dump card. This is paid via your tax roll. It's $85.14 per year. It pays for normal household disposal and offsets the disposal component of CR&R collection rate. So if you're a CR&R customer, you don't pay the disposal component of the trash rate because you're already paying for it on your tax rolls. The dump card entitles you to 65 uses per year. So raise your hand if you're a self-hauler. All right, I have really great news. You can still self-haul using your dump card. The dump card's not going anywhere. The district isn't charging you anything extra to self-haul. The only difference is, in order to do the recording and monitoring that we need for CalRecycle and to do some spot auditing, we do need you to complete an application. It's really easy. Linda has some. They're on our website. Just checking, I'm a self-hauler. I want to stay a self-hauler, and then keep your receipts. So if I reach out to you and say, hi, just need to make sure you self-hauled this year, can you give me your receipts? You'll give me your receipts. The county is going to start issuing receipts in July. I know they don't issue receipts right now. It's a problem. And if you do happen to go elsewhere to dispose of your solid waste, just keep your receipts. Because the county does operate the transfer station, they are determining the drop-off process at this time, and what they have outlined is a 3-area drop-off for self-haulers. So before you go to the transfer station, you're going to source separate all of your materials, either into organics, so that's like your yard waste, food waste, things like that, anything that can compost, recycling, so that's boxes, cans, things like that, and then trash. And so you'll have 3 separate drop-off points at the transfer station. Okay, and then the number one question I get is, why do we have to have a self-haul application? We already kind of talked about it. We have to do more data gathering for the state of California. The state is requiring an organics program that all organics are kept out of the landfill now. And in order to have a self-haul program that's viable and state approved, we need to monitor and track who's self-hauling, just to make sure everybody's doing the right thing. Also, health code does require you to dispose of your trash, and we just want to make sure everybody is participating. The cost of self-haul is going to be $0 for the remainder of this year. There's too many variables right now to determine what it's going to cost. The county, if you live in one of their service areas, so Oak Hills, West Cajon Valley, El Mirage, it's $15 per year, and they require 12 receipts in order to renew annually. All right, so our waste contract history. So the CR&R is our franchised hauler. We took over solid waste from the county in 2011. We amended our contract with CR&R in 2019 and again in 2022 in order to account for the new state requirements for recycling and organics collection. So new services are going to be implemented which require additional rate categories and some rate changes. And we're doing all of this in order to comply with state laws. So I do want to make clear that this is nothing that the district wanted to do. We've been working really diligently with CalRecycle and the county to come up with the most effective program, or I should say the least impactful program that meets the minimum requirements of the state for enforcement and reporting and trash collection. When we initially started dealing with SB 1383, that's what we call the organics law, where you can't put organic waste into your trash anymore. It needs to be composted or taken to a compost facility. We were not going to have a self-haul option. CalRecycle said it has to be curbside collection only, period, of organics. And we said, that won't work. First of all, we don't have curbs. We have dirt lots. So we can't do curbside, but they didn't take that technicality, I found, very well. But they did realize over time that there are rural communities in California that we're not all San Francisco or Sacramento like they think we are. And they did provision for us to do a self-haul program as long as we can still do the monitoring and reporting. And the way that we're going to do that is having all of you just tell us one time, this is my information, I'm self-hauling, and sign that you're going to source separate. And that's it. And occasionally I might reach out to some of you, it'll be me or Linda, just to verify that you have your receipts and everything's going okay. And that's it. If at any time you want to change from self-hauling to CR&R collection, you'll just complete a new application. So back to our laws, AB 939, this was passed in 1989, and the district, we haven't been complying with this at all. We don't have a recycling program yet. We're not going to have one until July. And so that's like your cans and bottles and papers, things like that. And then AB 341, that one came online for businesses in 2017, and we did start our commercial recycling program, and we're compliant with that. AB 1826, that one came into effect in 2018 regarding commercial organics, and we didn't do much with that because we knew SB 1383 was coming. That also dealt with organics for businesses, and so we were waiting to roll out our program for business organics collection at that time. And I'm just going to check the Zoom real quick to make sure nobody else has popped on, so just a second. Doing two things at once. Okay. So the big one that we're contending with is SB 1383. So this deals with the disposal of organics. The goal of the state is to reduce organics to landfills by 50% and to also recover edible food. So anything that is still good and can be consumed either by humans or animals.
Hi, how are you?
Hey, Kathy, can you mute?
Yeah, hang on, sorry. I'm trying.
My controls are a little weird when I'm presenting.
I'm gonna try. I don't know why it's not doing it. Hang on a minute. I'll hang up and call back in.
Okay. And then Mr. Fish, if you're able to monitor the Zoom. Thank you. Okay. I apologize. The fun Zoom world we're still in. SB 1383 overview. Okay, so we also, I have a little graphic here that the state gave us. Basically, we need to ensure that we're doing contamination monitoring so people aren't putting food waste or recycling in the trash. And so CR&R does that with a statistical audit of certain accounts. We also need to make sure all of our businesses that are required to dispose of organic waste are doing so. And that we're doing this at the schedule that CalRecycle says that we are. The other thing we have to do with SB 1383 is edible food recovery. So it's not enough that we have food recovery organizations in our community, which we've known about for years. We have a lot of churches that get groceries and things like that from Stater Brothers and other entities, and they give that out to the community, but the state has inserted itself into that process, and they want us to make sure that they're doing it and to track how much they're doing. And then if we don't have enough of these edible food recovery organizations, we need to make new ones. The other component of SB 1383 is the education and outreach. So we need to make sure that we're reaching out to you at least annually about the program. And we can do this in print or electronic communication, or we can do direct communication. And we're doing over and above. We're doing all of it right now, now that we know what our program looks like. And then another thing that the state made us do as a jurisdiction is we can only purchase products that are made with recycled content. So I don't know if you've ever used recycled toilet paper. It's not very nice, and that's what we have now in our parks and office and everything. And of course, because every jurisdiction in the state has to buy recycled content paper products, so our copy paper, toilet paper, paper towels, cups, plates, whatever, that stuff's gotten very expensive because the demand is really high. And then, of course, Cal Recycle has a new enforcement arm that they have implemented to come out and make sure us as a jurisdiction are doing everything that they want us to do with solid waste disposal in our community. So they can at any time come and do a compliance evaluation. And during that evaluation, I have to have every single record that they could request ready to go and hand to them, which is very burdensome. And we've had to work very closely with CR&R in order to come up with a way to get their data instantaneously should they come out and request the number of self-haulers and information like that. If we are violating anything, we have 90 days to fix it, or they issue a corrective action plan. And if we completely ignore them, they can issue fines up to $10,000 a day per violation. So really ignoring this isn't an option. So our compliance history so far, of course, AB 939, that's our recycling. That was in 1989, and we haven't really done anything with that because there just wasn't a way to economically do a program out here with our participation numbers when they were low. Now that we're getting more participation, we can run a route that's more economical. And now that we are required to collect organics, if you have CR&R collection service, we're adding the recycling in as well so we can become compliant with AB 939 and SB 1383. The district is under a corrective action plan for SB 1383 because this went into effect in 2022. And of course, we're still rolling out our program right now. So before I get into the rates, I want to talk about some industry trends in solid waste. So recyclables used to be very valuable. We could put them on a boat, send them to China, and get money for them. So they would turn them into other things. And so, you know, stuff like cardboard, paper, all the plastics, different types, there was a market for it. Well, there's no market anymore because China won't take that anymore. And there's nobody, you know, anywhere in the US that's paying for this stuff. So it actually costs us money to dispose of certain recyclables now. Also, the state keeps passing down new regulations, which, you know, trickle down to us, and we have to implement them, and there's a cost for implementing all of these programs. Some jurisdictions are having to spend a lot of capital, and some haulers as well, on developing compost facilities. We're working on one with Circle Green out in El Mirage in order to have a local place to take our organic waste so we're not driving it into Victorville, which costs more. There's also just a shortage of drivers, mechanics, and employees in general right now. So you're getting more overtime with the existing staff that you have. The supply shortage issue is still there. I mean, Brandon, what's the lead time for a truck right now? It's a couple years for a truck. So Brandon has become a mechanic and he's resurrected trucks from the boneyard, as they call it, and is getting them going simultaneously while the state is passing down legislation that we need to move to zero emission vehicles. So we're contending with that on another arm. Fortunately, that's going to be a little ways down the road for us.
Is there no state funding? Are they not giving any money for all of these regulations?
They gave us $20,000. Yeah, and so this is leading in some jurisdictions to significant rate increases. When we first started this process with CR&R, the first number they gave me, it was sticker shock. We were looking at $50 for basic service per month, and I don't know. The county is going to be at $40 for the basic service, but I was able, with my staff, to negotiate us down to keeping it the same because we don't know what this is going to look like. So it's really hard to develop a cost of service when you don't know how many people are going to participate in a program. And so CR&R has agreed that for the basic compliance level of service, so that's the 3-cart service, so right now it's 2, transitioning to 3, it's going to stay the same. So basically you're getting the extra cart, same price, and there's no increase for this fiscal year, so July to July. And these are the rates. So as you can see, for the basic cart service, so those are our barrels, it's going to be $30.98. It's the same rate it is now. The That's per month, and they bill quarterly, so times 3. And then we have the 2 cubic yard bin, or dumpsters, people call it. That's going up. We're adding 2 additional carts. But I'll get into kind of some cost-saving measures you can take yourself if you have CR&R in a minute. And then our additional trash cart is $701. It's the same. Recycling cart is $701, and organics cart is $701. So basically, if you have a dumpster right now, because you're putting everything in it, and that makes sense for you, because now you have to source separate, you'll be surprised, most stuff is recyclable. So what we're recommending is switch to the cart service. So get the basic cart service, and if you have a large property and you do, a lot of landscaping, get an extra green barrel. Or get an extra trash barrel if you have extra trash, or an extra recycling barrel, whatever it is. You order a lot of Amazon packages, maybe you need 2 or 3 of these blue barrels. And then you're down to $45 a month. So that will actually save you money over your existing dumpster service now. Yeah, I mean, you look at the gallons, so you get 320 gallons a week with 5 carts versus 532. But the issue is with the dumpster, you can't put everything in it anymore. And I'll have questions at the end. And I will have to let everybody know, because of the way that the Zoom works and the recording, you do have to come up and use the microphone. I apologize. So our future cost of service, like I said, we don't know how many people are going to participate in CR&R collection at this point in time. And so obviously the more subscribers we have, the more economies of scale. Right now, CR&R is already going down all the roads. We already have almost 2/3 of our residents with CR&R collection service, but they're skipping about 1/3 of the houses. If they can pick up more of those accounts, obviously, there's economies of scale there. These rates that we're proposing, that should say July 2023. Actually, no, the future cost of service rates wouldn't start until July 1, 2024. And again, we're going to do an analysis of all of the rates based off of actual costs and participation rates. And then, of course, the self-hauler fees to be determined. If everybody does a really great job and I only have to call a few people once, I don't see why we would have to charge a fee. It's if we have to start spending a lot of time mailing or doing administrative processes in order to just make sure, the number of people that we're required to check in on, then we have to look at doing a cost recovery fee. And like I said, the county's charging $15 for theirs initially. So some of you have been to my community information meetings. We've had 3 of them. The first one we did on a Tuesday at 10 a.m. to get our people that get to stay home during the day. We had one in an evening at 7, so our working folks, and then we had one on a Saturday. And so these were provided in person and on Zoom. I apologize, one of the recordings is a little messed up. As soon as we fix it, it'll be reposted on Zoom. But all of these are available online, and I really recommend you check our website regularly. I'm updating it daily at this point, just to make sure it has the most current, up-to-date information. And so if the board would like, we can open it up for questions, but just a reminder to use the microphone. Okay, thank you.
Thank you. So that was the summary of what's been going on with solid waste in California and the community. With that, I would like to move to item 6A. This is the formality of the current, the hearing on solid waste. I would like the secretary's report at this time.
We need to declare the meeting open at a
Oh,
specific
I'm sorry, I didn't do that. Okay, I'd like to declare the public hearing on the solid waste collection service fee rates now open. Secretary's report now. Is that correct? Thank you.
Yes, at this time, I'd like to report that the district has received 5 written protests, objections, or comments regarding the proposed solid waste collection services rates.
Thank you. May I please have the attorney's report, Mr. Kennedy?
Thank you, Mr. President, members of the board. Notice of the public hearing was mailed to 17,508 individuals for approximately 9,100 affected parcels on April 24th, 2023, in compliance with Proposition 218. Notice of hearing was published in the Mountaineer Progress on June 8th, 2023, and posted in the district office, the district website, and the district community centers. The rates were discussed at 3 advertised community information meetings held on Saturday, May 20th, 2023 at 10 a.m., Thursday, March 16th, 2023 at 7 p.m., and Tuesday, January 26th, 2023 at 10 a.m. The rates were made available for public review in the district office and on the district website in accordance with applicable law. Therefore, the district has complied with all the legal requirements necessary for this hearing within the manner and time specified in the government code. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Kennedy. May I have the staff report?
Yes, thank you. Over the course of several months, district staff and CR&R negotiated rates for solid waste collection services effective July 1st, 2023, with CR&R agreeing to a rate freeze on the most common type of residential collection service, currently 2-cart trash collection service, which will transition to 3-cart trash recycling organics collection service beginning July 1st, 2023. Although there will not be a rate increase for the 3-cart residential service at this time, on April 24th, 2023, the district mailed a notice of proposed rate increase because the number one, service is transitioning from subscription to mandatory unless the self-haul option is utilized. 2, new services have been added to the rate structure in order to collect recycling and organics. And 3, some existing services are increased by more than what is allowed by the existing rate schedule, such as CPI and certain pass-through costs. CR&R conducted a rate analysis for the minimum collection service level to comply with the state and district requirements. CR&R estimates it will lose approximately $5.41 on each residential 3-cart service for the upcoming fiscal year. Per CR&R, there are 4 components to the residential cart service rate. Number 1 is the collection costs, 2, disposal processing cost, 3, district fees, and 4, overhead administrative costs. The current rate of $30.98 for 2-cart service includes collection service at $22.11. That's the driver, truck, maintenance on the truck and container. Disposal processing at 0, district fees at 10% or $3.09, and overhead administrative costs at $4.02, facility site management, customer service, billing, and reporting. The difference of $1.76 is profit to the CR&R at a 5.7% of the rate. Under the changes for SB 1383 and AB 939 compliance, CR&R will add 2 new cart types, add route hours to service the new carts, and additional costs for processing and disposing of recycling and organics. The new cost components equal $36.39. However, at this time, the rate will remain at $30.98 for the basic residential service in order to comply with the state and district disposal requirements.
Thank you, Mr. Bartz. At this time, we'll move to the open the public hearing up to the public comments, which is on item 4 here under 6A. Public comments, protests, and objections. A is any person may address the board on the solid waste collection service rates. And then after all the comments and are heard, then we will have responses to what's been said. So we will start with Kent. And the agenda item is trash. Please step to the podium and state your name, and
Kent Baird.
we will have 5 minutes per person to speak.
Okay. Well, I want to just say that it seems like when you're requiring everybody to notify you there's going to be a lot of people that didn't get that notification or aren't aware of it, that they have to act before, they can't keep they lose something if they don't act, if they miss the timetable or gone or whatever. I think the onus should be on the people that are doing the change, not on the citizens using the service. But then, that's just kind of a technicality. I wanted, June 8, Mountaineer Progress. This is kind of humorous. They're talking about chromium 6, yeah. And so the past projects have already been completed and were about $6 billion. $6
billion. I believe it should have 7 million.
The proposed projects would be about another $6 billion
That's a big project.
to complete. Originally in 2017, reaching compliance was estimated to cost $17 billion. The staff recommends the board approve the forward planning. Anyway, so that's a little humorous. So that $971 fee we pay every billing period for our water, that would be probably like $9,710. So this person doesn't understand that a billion's 1,000 million. So,
Yes.
and then I was just wondering, I got a little worried thinking about the success or failure you've had with the chromium thing. If we're entering into another thing like that with this new trash thing. So that's why I came, just to follow up on all that. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Next, I have Robert from 13224 Pacific Road. Can you step up to the...
Yeah, you guys know me. I'm a legend here.
Yes, we know Robert.
It takes a lot for me to come to these meetings, okay?
Can you state your name first for the
Yeah,
record?
Robert Swartwood, resident of Phelan, veteran. I'm here to say I oppose this wholeheartedly. The liberal people up in Sacramento don't have any clue about rural life. What you're doing by these proposals, you're going to open it up to where people are going to start dumping their trash out in the desert again. Okay? You forget about the coyotes up here. You put those trash cans out there, the coyotes are going to get in them. You're going to have trash all over the freaking desert. Okay? Now let's talk about seniors. How many seniors here have to haul 3 trash cans out 30, 40 mile an hour winds to get collected? They can't do that. No one fights the fight for the public the way they need to. Common sense rules. Steve, I've talked to you many times about this. Sacramento's got their heads up their ass if they think seniors can sit there and carry 3 trash cans out there. And oh, by the way, let's have 3 trash cans in your kitchen so you can divide each one. It is ridiculous. I oppose this wholeheartedly. And I think anybody with common sense that lives out here, actually anybody with common sense that lives, would oppose this too. Okay, and you're telling about the price increases are staying the way they are? We know that's a lie. Because every time you guys implement stuff, yep, 5 meetings from now, guess what? Price is going up. Chromium 6, you raised the prices on us. At the meetings, you said we're going to get a decrease once a lot of it's done. Did we get our decrease? No. Quit lying to the public. This is not a good thing. It's bad for all of the high desert. Okay? And these seniors, you're putting them in a situation they can't win. Okay? And how many of you have seen all the wind that we've had lately? I can go out to the desert right now down here and show you trash cans all over the place. If it ain't from the wind, it's from the animals. Does this make sense to any of you? Seriously. I'm asking the question because you all sit there and say you fight the fight. It sounds to me like you guys all surrender. Okay? What is it? The public has to stand up and say, we're not doing this no more? We're sick of it? They're going to take all their trash, take it out in the desert, throw it out there because you're forcing this stuff down their throat? I'm not separating all my trash. I'm not going to take food and put it in a bag for you. I'm not. I'm not going to sit here and separate plastic bags from Walmart, stuff from Kmart, cardboard boxes. I don't live like, this is a free nation. I don't live like that. And to sit here and tell me you're going to force this down our throat, but the prices aren't going up, that's a bunch of crap. Because you're going to have to hire people to go and collect it. You're going to have your covert secret operatives running around wanting to give tickets. When is enough going to be enough? You know, I come to these meetings after a while because I get fed up. I get sick of the nonsense going on. And every time we sit here and fight, the nonsense keeps going on. It never stops. The rate increases never stop. The bullshit you put down on all the people in the high desert never stops. And you can't tell me you all aren't sitting out there thinking, yeah. Okay, these liberal hacks up in Sacramento, they don't have a clue about rural life. And for any of them to say they do, they're full of shit.
Correct.
I'm tired of it all. I don't know, you guys tired of it?
Yeah.
Right? That's why you're here, right?
Right.
Aren't you sick of this crap?
Yes.
When's enough?
The legal
Now.
marijuana grows.
Oh yeah, you can grow all the pot you want, thank God. But luckily, when we had that meeting, the sheriff cracked down on that. But guess what? Our water rates are going to go up, but yet there's still wells out here that you wanted to charge us for the wells that illegal drug guys are doing.
Yep.
That's the kind of crap we have to put up with. When are you guys going to stand up? Sue the state if you have to. You want to add $1 or $2 to my bill to sue the state? Pack up all this trash and drop it off in Gavin Newsom's yard.
Yes.
Do the Ron DeSantis shit.
I'm doing that.
Take it all. Drop it off in his dumbass yard. And you know what? Swing by and give some to Nancy Pelosi. She's a moron. Okay? I'm just saying, do we have to take these drastic actions, to put this stuff into perspective? It's about time we do something as a community. Okay? That's all I'm asking. Do something. Don't surrender. Look, all these people here would have your back if you're doing the right thing. And this trash thing is absolutely the wrong thing
Correct.
for the high desert. Okay? Because we don't live in the city. We don't handle the city. And I'll tell you what, I'm going to be calling Don the minute all my trash cans are blown over, the coyotes get it, because I ain't picking that shit up. You guys are going to have people going around trying to pick it up, because I'm not. And I'm not going to comply with this. Now, everybody else here can comply, but I ain't separating my trash and putting food in one bag unless you're going to give it to the homeless under some bridge. I'm done, man. I'm done trying to play the game up here. You want to know why people move out of California at a record rate? It's stuff like this.
Correct.
I've had enough. And I read your stuff here, and frankly, it's disgusting, man. Hey, I think you guys should send your ideas to China because they don't do shit.
Thank you.
Okay?
Right.
Thanks.
Okay, we have Dennis, obviously trash service, 11976 Pueblo Street. Oh, I don't know. State your name, please.
Pueblo Trail.
Trail, okay.
Dennis, Roby. Do I have to say my address too?
No, I said it.
Okay.
So.
I oppose this, and like Robert said, it's going to increase, the trash is going to increase out there in the desert. These illegal marijuana grows, when they get busted, they don't pick up their trash. It just blows all over the kingdom come, all over the desert. This is ridiculous. We got squatters that are starting to live out there now, over there off of Sunset, and nobody does anything about it. People are just squatting on the vacant land, and I know somebody owns it, either the banks or, Joe Blow. But this is not going to happen. I oppose this, and I'm with Robert. Like, I'm not going to separate my stuff to PG guys. It's just common. I mean, I get like a business because I work for Staters, but we have a compost trailer. But a regular family, what's good is that going to do? Separating the trash. Now, if you want to do it on your own, that's your prerogative. I recycle cans and plastics. But this, you charging people $30 more people are not gonna pay, they're just gonna dump it out in the desert. And where I live, you can tell, there's this trash that just blows all over the place. And I try to keep my yard clean. I have a bin dumpster, or a lot dumpster. And this is ridiculous. Nobody's gonna apply and pay that money. I mean, $96, I feel that's a little bit steep, but we live out in a rural area. The people in Sacramento don't know what they're doing. They just want to keep charging people more money to fatten their pockets. They don't care about us. So, I don't know what else to do. I mean, maybe the people here at this meeting, you oversee them and make everybody else pay. I don't know, but this is not going to happen. This is ridiculous.
Thank you. Next I have, is it Barry? Yeah, also on trash. Come up and state your name, please.
Hello, my name is Barry Mormon, local resident. A couple quick questions. Horse manure, does that fall into organics?
7.
Okay, I can answer it now. Yes, it goes in the green bin.
Roger. If we secure our stand-up bins that you folks are giving us with some sort of bungee cord or something, are the guys picking it up going to have to exit the vehicle and disconnect
they do it
that
now.
and
Yeah.
do that, or is it going to be, hey, we're going to dump it? But
No,
the cord
bungee
does-
cord's fine.
So
You can bungee it, we'll get out of the truck, we'll unbungee it, we'll service it, and then we'll leave the bungee there.
Copy. I was informed when I came in there would be no fee increase. It would basically stay the same. But if I heard the gentleman 3 down, it is going to be an increase in the near future?
July.
That's my question.
Do you want me to answer the question now or wait?
I'm hearing 2 different things. I'm just trying to get a clear picture.
Yeah, and go ahead and answer
ahead,
this
answer.
question, and then we'll make other comments
Yeah,
later.
the basic level of trash service, so the 3-cart service, that's staying the same for fiscal year 23-24. So July 1 through June 30th, it's going to be the same. But we'll be doing a rate analysis sometime during next year, and then it's likely the rates could change in July 1, 2024.
Via a vote? Is that via a vote or is
Yeah,
that
we'll do
via
this
mandatory?
same process we're doing now.
Okay. And the fact that we got to come in and vote no, I feel it's pretty deceptive and misleading on how, if you don't want this to be automatically implemented upon us, we have to come in, write a letter, present that, drop that off, and I don't know how many votes are required in order to not make this happen. But we have to go out, clearly the public's got to go out of its way in order to ask this not to go down. If not, it's going to be implemented. Who wants a bill pushed upon them, and why do we have to say no? If this is so good, why don't you sell this product and inform us that, hey, this is a real positive for the thing, and we'd like to push forward for this. Can we get your vote to push forward for this and utilize your funds that are putting into this? You know, if it's deceptive and you got to twist it around to make it happen, there's probably something not right there, you know. And with that, the way we're informed and the information is getting out, it works for some folks, but in this more modern day and age, maybe we should implement some more social media platforms, things of that nature. If this is really something that's going to affect our community, we want to get our folks involved here and on board on a project. I get you guys got an uphill battle, but you stepped into this. This is the job you chose, and we need you guys to fight for us because it's a very different world and fight up there. But we got to feel like you all are on the same page as us. And you're our leaders, our team, our COs. So that's all I have. I appreciate you listening.
Thank you. Next is Brenda Roper, is that right?
Hi, my name is Brenda Roper, and I also live in Piñon Hills. And I'm just wondering why people who have a bin have to have a price increase right away when the others don't. We already pay more for our bin, and it's really hard for, like, especially where we live, because, you know, we're like, our neighbor is over 5 acres away. Well, you know, it's hard when you have to drag all those cans down. And like for me, like I have cancer, so I can't really just pull that down. So it's easier for us to make smaller bags and throw it in the bin. But why do we have to have the increase right now? That's all.
Okay, so we'll make those comments after we're done here. That's all that has, that I have slips for. Is there anybody else who would like to make a comment? Please step up and you have 5 minutes and state your name.
David Atkins. I mountain bike up here all over, and I see it. It's already out there. So it's going to get worse. And I've been to CR&R. My wife wanted me to recycle. So I started recycling. I go there. I got my household trash. I got my recyclables. I show up over at the dump over there, and all their shit's full, you know? So what do they tell me? They said, yeah, just throw it in the general trash. So here I waste all this time to do all this shit that you guys want us to do, and it's for nothing, to waste my time. And I am tired of it. I'm sick of it. I'm a self-hauler. And what's the deal? Can I self-haul to Victorville and not have to deal with this?
So I just want to make a quick comment. When you go to the dump, that's not CR&R.
Okay, sorry.
That's not me.
Okay, what is it? Who is it? Bert? Is it
Yeah, so that's owned by the county, ran by Athens.
Athens?
Yeah.
Okay, I'm sorry.
I recycle.
Yeah, okay. But, okay, regardless, I mean, it, you know, when you go through all the trouble to do that, and then you have to just throw everything in the general trash, which I would rather do anyway, but, so, yeah. But can I self-haul to Victorville and not have to deal with this bullshit over here?
If you want, yeah.
Yeah, you can self-haul wherever you
Just
would like. The
keep-
thing
keep
is,
a receipt.
if you don't go to a county landfill, you're gonna have to pay the disposal fee. You won't be able to use
Right,
your dump card. But
right.
yeah, absolutely, just keep your receipt wherever you take your items.
Okay, all right.
You come to my road, I'll give you a receipt.
What are we gonna do to clean up the desert? You know, how's that gonna work out?
Okay, is there any other buddy that would like to make a comment at this time? Please step up to the microphone and state your name.
I'm Jeff Mullen, and I've been here a while. I've self-hauled, and I plan to continue self-hauling, but I just had one input from my son when I talked to him just before I came here, and he's now living back east someplace. He asked me, and it's got me questioning myself, is whether or not it's worth the money to not have to go to the dump periodically. I mean, for the most part, I've gone every couple of weeks as I fill the barrels, which I feel is not a big deal, but just came to mind that maybe I do need to rethink it. But the other question I've got is partially for CR&R, but for the rest of us too. Wouldn't it make your trucks last so much longer if the county would go and pave our roads?
Did you want to make a comment?
Hi, I'm Mary Estrada, Piñon Hills. And do I need to give my address or?
No, just your name, thank you.
Okay. We've been doing self-hauling for many years, and finally I got tired of going to the dump with my husband, and I said, let's just order the service. So we did. And so we have the service, and I added a couple carts. My problem is, again, like Robert mentioned, a lot of us are older. I have to haul my carts right now 400 feet from the house down to the street, or get in my truck and put the bags in and go down there. And the wind and all the animals. So that's another factor I'd just like to underline that's happening out there. In fact, I have held back some of my trash and frozen, the food particles, to put them in at the last minute so the dogs or the coyotes wouldn't get into the street trash. I'm wondering now, I have a yard man picking up all my cuttings and cutting the trees and doing all the yard work. And I have been giving them the dump card. Now, what's going to happen with that? If he takes my cuttings and he's chopped down my trees?
Again, we already stated there's no difference with the dump cards, that you'll still receive that. You'll have 52 plus whatever extra times to go to the dump. I don't know what the county's going to do with that in the end, but currently you'll get your dump card for July 1st of this coming year, just like me and everybody else, and you'll still be able to use it.
Right, but if I give it to my yard person to take it down,
That I don't know, because I don't know. I don't give my card to people, so I don't know with that.
Anybody else use somebody to haul it for them?
Do you want me to answer that now or wait?
Might as well answer
Go
it
ahead and do
now.
that now, yeah.
Okay. Yes, so I asked the county this question. I don't know, about 10 years ago, you may have remembered the county started enforcing the dump card use. And so they started asking for IDs, and that was not popular because they failed to realize that a lot of individuals out here do give their dump card to somebody else to go dispose of their trash, so like their neighbor or like a handyman, children, whatever, to go use it. And so as soon as they implemented that program, they pretty much stopped it. You don't have to like assign it to anybody. And so I did speak to the county about this because it comes up from time to time. As long as whoever is disposing of your waste has that dump card, the county is going to allow them to use that dump card to dispose of the waste. So you can still do what you're doing with that waste.
What about the receipt thing? Does he have to
Yeah,
ask now for a receipt?
he'll get the
'Cause
receipt.
There haven't been receipts in the past, right?
Yeah, and I'll get to that with the receipts. There's a few questions about that. But he needs to get the receipts and just give them to you, because you're ultimately responsible for making sure you take care of your trash.
Okay. I'm with Robert in terms of, I don't know how much of this I'm going to use, because it is very, it's a new thing for us that've been living out here for quite a while, not city folks anymore. So, it's like you said, the common sense of it doesn't click with me. I have a friend that couldn't attend the meeting. What about filling in forms for people that weren't able to make it? Some of the friends I talked to didn't even know this was happening. I know we get things in the mail, but not everybody reads everything. So I know you're trying to do your best to get word out, but what about those of us that, haven't come to the meeting to fill in a form to turn in?
You mean like an application for service?
Well, no, a current person who has service like I do. And I need to indicate what I want to do.
Oh, yeah, we're going to be mailing those out in July. And I have a presentation after this item about how that's going to roll out.
Okay.
So there's still a lot of time to get all of that done.
Okay. Thank you.
Is there anybody else in person who wishes to make a comment?
I actually have 2 follow-up questions.
Okay. 2 minutes. Well, we have to parcel time.
Barry Mormon, local resident, returning to the mic. A no vote on this moving forward. What is the required amount of votes in order for that to go through for a no vote?
50%.
Okay, we'll have Mr. Kennedy explain the process after all the comments. Is that okay?
Okay, and if the vote is not put in by this evening, at the end of this meeting, is that a?
He'll explain everything before.
He'll cover
He'll
that.
go through the
Right.
whole thing after all the comments are in.
Right, thank you.
Mhm.
Got one real quick one.
Okay.
The one thing I hate the most is that when you guys do your notifications, it looks like advertisements. And I don't want a big old red card that says "Danger, Will Robinson," that tells us what's going on, because it gets wrapped up in the mail, and a lot of people just toss it. They don't have time for that. So if there's something we can do, like maybe a big red letterhead that says water department, trash, you know what I mean? To where these people, it's gonna key on it and not look like freaking standard mail or something from Washington. It won't get thrown in the trash. I just think that's gonna help a lot of people. I'm listening to all this stuff and.
I never received it in the mail.
Yeah, you probably didn't. It was probably cloaked and daggered.
But what threw me off was the bins they delivered to the house. So
Yeah.
we looked into that, and that's how I found out about this meeting.
Right. So I know a lot of people here. I frankly I probably threw mine away. But I'm here because I got a lot of phone calls.
So they're too pretty for you, huh? Okay.
Not pretty enough, man. Not pretty enough.
Did you recycle it correctly?
I recycled that shit right in the trash.
Okay, we're digressing. Or anybody else? If not, is there anybody online who wishes to make a comment?
There's nobody online.
Okay.
I'm sorry, former Director Hoffman, Director of Mojave Water Agency, is online, but she has not indicated she has a public comment.
Oh, so there is somebody online, but not to make a public comment. Okay, if there's no more, anybody else that wants to make a comment or anything, I would entertain a motion to close the public hearing at this time.
Do you
Wait a
want me
minute.
to go through
Do you want to
the-
make a comment?
Yes, sir.
Okay, please stand up, state your name.
Napoleon Roper out of Piñon Hills. I have a bin, which approximately pay about $100 a month. And now you're saying I'm gonna have to have 2 dumpsters, which would be what, $7 each? So that's $14 a month extra I'm gonna have to pay. So right there's about a 14% increase in what I'm gonna have to do to have my garbage taken out. And as I can see, there's a lot of senior citizens here on fixed incomes. And that's gonna affect them with this money increase that we're gonna have. And I'm a senior citizen myself, so I've been here a lot of years, and I know when they say we're not gonna change, it's gonna go up. It's gonna go up. My wife, for instance, she's a cancer survivor 3 times. Last week, she had operated
Congratulations.
last week. She cannot take these containers out to the dumpsters. It's like 400 feet from our house, and it's in an incline. It's okay going downhill, but you can't take it uphill. And I'm pretty sure many people up here is that way. That's all I gotta say. Thank you.
Thank you. Oh, yes. More people.
I have been I'm sorry.
State your
Beth
name,
Donnan from Phelan. I have been practicing separating my trash. And what I'd like to know is, where are we going to get the information on things that we can put where? Like an aerosol can of Febreze spray. Where does that go? Are we going to get dinged if we put it in the wrong place? Because we don't know where to put it?
Thank you. Okay, is there anything, anybody else in that case? We've had a few people who have decided to say something. You have your floor now. Otherwise, I will entertain a motion to close the public hearing. Oh, we have we will answer them.
My name is Jeff Haggard. I'm a longtime Phelan resident. Basically, I have a couple questions. Number one is, what can I put in my 2-yard dumpster now? And number two is, you have this barrel for recycling. I assume we're going to put maybe a piece of aluminum in there 8 feet long. Is there a length limit or that kind of thing? And also, if somebody's going to make some money off of this, is that going to result in a drop in my property taxes? Or are they just going to put the money in their pocket in Sacramento and we get to do all the work? I don't have much else to say.
Okay, we'll answer all these questions after we close the
Okay, thank you.
comment, public
One more
comment.
question. On the green, and kind of going back what he said, my name is Dennis. What happens if we have more than what that bin or bins can hold? That's why we have, you know, or the cans or carts or whatever. That's why we have dumpsters, because we always have overflow from our yards. Because, you know, we don't live on a 7,000 square foot home like Sacramento thinks we do. We live on acres of land out there. And like this gentleman over here, he has horses. You know, a lot of people have different kinds of weights than what Sacramento has. So they need to take all this in consideration with rural areas. You know, I'm like the only house on my street that does not get UPS, FedEx, Amazon. I have to go to either the post office or postal annex to receive my mail, because I cannot receive any mail or packages at my home. They don't recognize my home at all on their database.
Mine neither. I don't know why everything gets lost.
So
Thank you. We'll make some comments and questions after we're done here. Anybody else? And there's nobody online that's come on? Okay, with that, I'd entertain a motion to close the public hearing.
I'll move for closure of the public hearing.
I'll second.
We'll have a voice vote. Director Hayes?
Aye.
Director Phillips?
Aye.
Director Snyder, I hope he's still there? Yes?
Yes, aye.
Director Roberts, aye. With that, the public comment, protests, and rejections portion is closed, and now we will move to staff responses, comments, protests, objections. So I was making a list, and I'm hoping that I got everything. We had problems with seniors, moving carts, a description of, from Mr. Kennedy of, it was the Prop 218, I believe, and whatever else associated. Okay, and then awareness media to the public. Kim will describe what we try to do with it. Trash separations and, again, volumes of trash. And then there's a lot of opposition to this, I get that. And then the dump cards. So I think we'll start with Mr. Kennedy to review the legal descriptions that were requested.
Sure. Thank you, Mr. President, members of the board.
Vice President.
Okay, acting president, I apologize. The process that is laid out is not one that the district has made up out of whole cloth. It's actually one that is required under the law. It's part of the California Constitution. It's commonly considered Proposition 218. It was an initiative that was sponsored by the Howard Jarvis Taxpayers Association and approved by the voters in the state of California back in 1997. And what that provision requires is that for any rate increases, that before local agencies such as the district can adopt those increases, then there would need to be a majority protest hearing, where it gives an opportunity for the members of the public to come out and voice whether or not they have any objection to it. If there is a majority protest, then the board would be prohibited from adopting the ordinance that's on the agenda. The staff report indicated that there are 9,100 parcels within the district, so the district would need to receive, for a majority protest to occur, over 4,500 protests in order for a majority protest to occur that would prohibit the board from imposing and adopting this ordinance. That has not occurred, so the board is within the exercise of its discretion to decide whether or not to adopt the ordinance or not. You cannot adopt anything above what was noticed, but you are not prohibited by law from not adopting the ordinance that was presented. So the process is one that's constitutional in nature, that was part of Proposition 218, that was the initiative sponsored by the Howard Jarvis Taxpayers Association.
I hope that answers the questions. Thank you, Mr. Kennedy.
Thank you.
Now, I think I would like to, Kim, you wrote down some of the things that were said. Can you try to
Do you want me
discuss
to go through
awareness in media, getting it out to the public, which I know we try. The dump receipts, bin costs, there was a that would be for CR&R, the increase in bin costs. But can you cover some of the things that were discussed?
Yeah, I wrote a list down, so is it okay if I go through it, because it does address all of that?
Please, I'll check off the ones that I have too.
Yes. So just a reminder that this hearing is about the rates, not necessarily the service component, because that ordinance has already been adopted. It's already been filed with the state, and we do have a compliance action plan that requires us to do this. The hearing tonight is about CR&R's collection rates. So we are going to be, and I have a very good comprehensive presentation after this about notification and application process, but in general, we're going to be mailing all district residents a bunch of information in July. So that's going to include, as she would like, what goes where is what we're calling it. It's going to have the application instructions, a letter from our general manager, and some other information directing you to our website or to call us for additional questions that haven't been answered. Getting the word out to people has always been incredibly difficult out here. So we do billing inserts regularly, and I watch customers come in, open their bill for the first time, take the stuff out and throw it in the trash can. They don't even look at it. We have issues with mail delivery out here. So the individual who said that she didn't receive the notice, that's not surprising, because a lot of mail out here just doesn't make it to where it's supposed to go. We are active on social media. If you guys are on Facebook or Instagram, I highly encourage you to sign up for our district's newsletter. That goes out via email. If you're an e-bill customer, we send out the notices to email, because you're not getting a paper bill. And we actually did a direct mail postcard for our first public information meeting. So that was what was it, 6x11 big postcard, colorful, which I know Richard doesn't like. It wasn't bright red, but it did have a bunch of information on it, including how to attend our meeting virtually and in public. So it's hard to get the word out here because, you know, we don't have our own media market. If we want to pay for radio or TV ads, are very expensive with very little return. We've tried radio ads before, and it didn't really do anything. Nobody else showed up for certain events than normal. So if you have ideas on how we can communicate with you, just get in touch with me, call the main office, ask for Kim, and I'm happy to listen to them. We've tried everything short of carrier pigeons. And of course, it's not reasonable or practical to go door to door here. And it's not safe, because some people don't want anybody on their property, and there's a lot of dogs. So yeah, I highly encourage you, when you do get mailings from us, just take a second to look through them before you throw them in your trash, recycling, whatever. And if you have questions about anything, just call the district office. And our website is a really, really great resource. You can also sign up for my email distribution list about these types of meetings. So if you want to just see Linda before you leave, she can take down your email address. And if you don't want to do it tonight, there's a form on our website to complete, or you can just call me and I'll add you. Okay, the other one that we have is about trash dumping. So this is actually an interesting thing. So there have been studies done in communities where they have implemented a trash program similar to this, where they've seen illegal dumping go down. And there's several reasons for this. One, if you know, within 6 months' time, I know all of you are going to do the right thing and tell me you're self-haulers, but if somebody doesn't tell me they're a self-hauler or that they're going to sign up for CR&R service, we're going to have to reach out to them and, you know, say, hey, you really have to tell us if you're self-hauling, state's requiring it, or get CR&R service. And if they fail to do any of that, they're going to be given the basic level of service, because we have an ordinance, we have a requirement from the state to have a collection program. The alternative to the mandatory collection is just to tell us you're self-hauling. So what that does is, if everybody already has containers and they're paying for them, they're going to use them. They're not going to have these containers and then go out of their way to go dump illegally. Plus, we still have the dump card. And so if you're a property owner or a tenant where the owner's given you the card, you can go to the dump. And so there are studies that have been done, and I'll get them if you want them from our consultants on this, where illegal dumping does go down in communities where there is a way to dispose of your trash easily. So the other thing I recommend for that is, there's so much illegal dumping in our desert. You have to report it to code enforcement if you want anything done about it. They will if you contact them a lot. And, you know, I'm very annoying to them. I call them all the time. If they're not being responsive to you, give me a call and I'll get you in touch directly with the supervisor's chief of staff, and let's get your issues taken care of, because code enforcement is a job of the county and it's their jurisdiction, their responsibility to clean up these properties where illegal dumping has occurred. So they did have an app, I think they still have it, where it's geolocated. So if you're out there and you see a dump, you can fill out their form and it'll go directly to them, or just call them.
We went to the county and filled out a form because the house next to us blew up. They were making wax, I guess, with butane. Great neighbors, they were never there. But the house blew up. We went, filled out all those forms you're talking about. It's been 3 years, and we keep going back. They ain't done nothing. We videotape people dumping.
Yeah.
And guess what? They don't do nothing.
Yeah, no, I sympathize.
So now they passed that tire thing. If we're charging $10 a tire, or $5 a tire to dispose of them, guess where all the tires are? Well, out in the desert. Thousands of them. Yep. And that's exactly what's going to happen.
Do you want to?
Okay.
I can get to the tires and
The tires, we have 2 or 3 or 4, I don't remember, tire days that we, the district, pays for it. Anybody who doesn't know that should know it. They should tell their friends. We actually spend our money to have tires dumped off at CR&R. So the tire thing just befuddles me, because you can actually take it several times a year for free. So let's keep moving here.
Okay.
We can do discussions later. We're trying to answer the questions that we've already had. Trash separation was another one of them. Several comments were problems with seniors moving the carts.
Yes.
And I don't know about
So,
that.
yeah, let me get into this. So just to continue down my list, we went through kind of the illegal dumping and all of that, coyotes and jogs and things like that. So as Brandon, who works for CR&R, said, you can bungee cord your lids. That will help with it. Unfortunately, there's always going to be something that can get into your bin. If you're farther up on the hill, it might even be bears. And then the covert secret operatives giving tickets. So let's just put that to bed right now. It's me, it's Linda. We're not covert or secret. It's us that are going to be, one of us will be reaching out to you about anything. We don't want to issue notices of violation. We do not want to be the trash police, but we do have to do our due diligence in order to meet the minimum requirements of CalRecycle. So we're not out to fine you or out to get you or anything like that. We just have to do the bare minimum of what Cal Recycle requires us to do regarding monitoring. And so it's going to be Linda or me, and that's it. And so if you have a question about anything, you can call us. There's no secret staff. We haven't sworn any deputies. No trash police have been hired for this. And then we'll go back through here. And again, the trash all over the desert, the illegal marijuana grows, it's the same process. And I know it's frustrating to deal with code enforcement, but the squeaky wheel really does get the grease. So call them, and if you're at a loss, call me, and I will call them. And they don't like hearing from me. So you just, or email me, whatever. Linda has my contact info, and I'll forward it on, and we'll get some resolution out here.
Bin costs?
Yeah, the bin costs. So that's why we are recommending, because so much stuff is recyclable, you may not need a dumpster anymore. So you can't just throw everything in the dumpster now. It's just not something that you can do. And so the solution may be having 4 or 5 carts, which will actually save you money over what you're paying right now. I get it. It's a pain to roll them out. You guys are creative. On my property, I had a permanent kind of area built for mine, and I would just walk my trash out there. I had 5 acres, so I get it. It's a problem. It's one of the difficulties of living in this environment is, you know, we have dirt to contend with, we have hills, we have sand, we have animals, we have wind. And a lot of wind. And so as Brandon stated, just you can bungee cord your containers and CRNR staff will get out and remove that for you. Okay, so.
You put your carts where your dumpster is?
Yeah, so you can put the carts right next to the dumpster. They just need to have a little bit of clearance for the barrels.
Yeah, so there's a guideline for where to keep your barrels, and it's kind of the same guideline of where you keep your bins, right? Away from the fence, safe area, and just enough space to where we can get them with the arm.
So it could be at the end of the driveway?
Yeah, absolutely. That's best. Yeah, so we don't have to drive up the driveway. Yeah.
Yeah, I know with the dumpsters, those are typically stationary. You guys aren't moving those around. So you could, you know, do something similar with the barrels. I realize they're lighter weight, but if you could make a little permanent enclosure, bungee cord them to a fence, something like that, on non-pickup days. There's a lot of ways that you can contend with this. I realize it's annoying, and I realize the state thinks that we're all these little cookie cutter houses close together with real curbs for curbside pickup, but they don't understand, and this is what we're doing. The reality is almost 2/3 of our district customers have collection service with CRNR right now, and that's working for them. They are going to have 1 extra bin, so if you have 2 barrels now, you have 3.
Price, the increase can't be accommodated like everybody else?
I'll get to the bin one, yeah. Hold on. Horse manure, we already discussed, that goes in your recycling container, and or not recycling, your green waste container. And if you don't want to do that, you can still compost it. And then, okay, so why are the bin fees going up? Well, for one, the cost to maintain and deliver those bins and do everything related to those, so we're talking about the dumpsters, right? It's expensive. Those are expensive. And then
We're happy with the bins, and we know that we need to have the other trashes that you're saying. So we already have our bin, so we just want to know why we have to pay more for the bin now. In July.
yeah, so if you want to keep the dumpster because you still have more trash than recyclables or organics, you can. The cost is going up because the cost of these bins is more expensive, the cost of staff is more expensive, running the trucks is more expensive. What we did is for the basic level service, in order to comply with the state requirements, that one has stayed the same. The other stuff, some of it's going up, some of it's going down. I'm sorry, Robert, can I just get through this and then I'll answer your questions? And if you're having issues with your containers, just call CRNR and they can likely repair or replace them. Okay. Okay, so what happens if all of your bins are full? So if you have cart service and they're regularly overflowing, order another cart of whatever type is overflowing. On occasion, if you have like an extra trash bag, like it's Christmas or you just did a clearing out of a closet or something, you can put an extra bag out next to your bin and they'll charge you for it. I think it's like $1.75. Or you still have your dump card, so if you have a lot more trash than your containers accommodate and it's not normal, you can self-haul that still. So if you do a big yard cleanup or something like that, you can take that. And then one more thing. I think I got
Dump receipts, I have.
the
make
dump
sure-
receipts. Yeah. So we kind of touched on that during the presentation. The county operates the transfer station, and so they dictate how they're going to do things there. And they have required that their service areas, so Oak Hills, El Mirage, West Cajon Valley, keep 12 receipts per year. I don't have a number because I know some people go a few times a year. They're absentee owners. I don't care. If I call you up and I'm like, hey, I noticed you only had one receipt when we looked at your account, and you'd be like, oh yeah, I'm in Alaska 6 months out of the year. Just tell me. Again, it's me, it's Linda. There's no like big bad bureaucrat behind the scenes trying to get you in trouble, okay? The county does require 12, and we don't have a limit. But the county is, because of their receipt requirement, going to be providing receipts, it is my understanding, starting in July. Obviously, if they don't start that, I will be aware of it, and so I will understand why we don't have receipts. So if they go a whole year not giving receipts, I'm going to know that, and of course it wouldn't be reasonable to ask you for receipts that they're not giving out. And then what can I put in the dumpster now? Oh, yeah, I mean, that's a great question. I mean, considering most stuff is recyclable or compostable, there's not a lot of need to have just a trash dumpster. There's not a lot that can go in there. You're talking cat litter, dog and animal waste, plastic wrap, you know, like the really thin plastic stuff. And I mean, there's really just not a lot. Most stuff can actually go in a recycle bin. So all of your tin cans, pet food containers, you know, washing detergent containers, spray bottles, things like that. That's all recyclable material. Papers, soiled paper towels, those would go in the trash.
We have lists, so I know we've published them.
And they're going to be going out in July.
Yeah, and I was going to say, we will continue to send out the information on the list of everything that can be. And if you want to self-haul, I'm sorry, it's just filling out a form and keeping the receipt. And apparently the county is going to start giving receipts, and so.
And again, if you're having issues at the transfer station, like in July, this is when the county's starting their program. If you go to the transfer station and they're putting it all in one pile still, please let me know. We're going to be monitoring that at our level, but let me know so I can touch base with the county and find out what's going on, because you know, if they're telling us to do something and they're not helping facilitate that, we need to know about it.
Are they gonna fine them like $9,000 a day until they straighten it out?
Athens, I don't know. Yeah, that's the county.
So you're saying that if
So we have to do it if they don't, and they won't be fined.
That's the thing that you need to tell me. So if you see any irregularities happening, just call the district office. They'll direct you to me, and then I can put a call into the county. I'm sorry, ma'am, go ahead.
I was just gonna say, you are saying that if we're self-hauling, we're still separated.
Correct. The county's requiring that.
And when we get there, we would expect that we would go to the
Appropriate bins, yes.
Yes.
If you're hauling a dump trailer and you go to the dump every 6 weeks or something like that, which is, it's just me and her, I don't have a lot of trash. How do I separate are you guys gonna hand out bags?
Well, do you have like 3 or 4 trash cans, like I do?
Yeah.
Well, so I guess
designate them.
I guess I'm gonna be putting my paper and cardboard and stuff in one thing and the stuff that can't be recycled in another, and then have to dump all my different cans in different places.
I got tipping training,
Oh, well,
so how does that work?
I mean, everyone in here is pretty creative. I would imagine if you want to use that, take them one at a time. Or put them in separate containers like Director Roberts was stating.
Does this mean we're gonna have 3 different trash days?
No, absolutely not. Everything goes out on the same day. That would be crazy to have 3 different trash days.
Why are you gonna put all this stuff in the same truck?
So right now,
Here, you want me to take it, Kim?
yeah, we're gonna let Brandon take care of that.
So
It's
we're
his
not.
truck.
We're gonna pick it up in 3 separate trucks. One, we're in the process of getting new trucks. There's a 2-year wait on them. I've still gotten new trucks. And like Kim pointed out earlier too, we're working on trucks that we've had sitting in the yard that need to be fixed anyways. So we're gonna have 3 different trucks picking up source separated material. We're also looking into, just so everybody's kind of aware, in case you do see it, is what's called a split body rear loader, okay? So that body has a wall right down the middle of it, and one half takes one type of material, the other half takes another half, okay? So that way, if we do, hopefully eventually we can reduce it to only 2 trucks coming, right? The trash, and then the other truck that's a split body that picks up recycled organics. That's what we're shooting towards. I'm gonna make a big enough uproar about it and get those trucks, but right now it will be 3 separate trucks.
What expense?
For what?
New trucks?
I don't know.
You don't know?
Yeah,
Oh, well, we're gonna have to pay for
I don't know.
it. Yeah, we will have to pay for it.
Okay, so the last little note I had is, I guess it's more of a comment that, you know, UPS and FedEx can't get to his house for packages, and so, you know, CR&R will do an evaluation to determine if they can do collection service, and if they can't get to your property, they'll let you know, and then you'll just continue to be a self-hauler, because we do have a few people out here on roads that are just completely inaccessible by a trash truck.
I have a question. You said earlier that you're, like out of the dumpster, you said you can put like cat litter and stuff like that. So technically you could put horse manure in there?
No, horse manure is actually compostable. So your domestic animal waste is not. It's kind of toxic and you don't want it to go into a compost blend that's going to go in your garden. Whereas horse manure can go to a facility and be composted and be turned into fertilizer and things like that.
So could you, like, if you had a dumpster, could you have an option to make, like, if you're gonna, like, clean your dog out, do you want to use the dumpster for that? Like, make it a free one?
Absolutely, yeah. Instead of getting a trash dumpster, so this would be a great one, just call into the office and we'll go through this with you. We do have an organics dumpster. Not many people are gonna need that, but if you have a lot of horses or lots of stalls, that might be a great option for you.
There's like a virus going around, it's called bug lice. They're saying like recommending like, you know, clean yourself regularly. So, I mean, one trash that's not gonna be enough for horse people.
Right, absolutely. And again, the horse manure would go in the organics container. But yeah, just reach out to the office and we'll work through that with you.
I had a question for Steve. Hey, Steve, based on your comments about the constitutionality and that you said they have the option to not accept it,
Yes, that's true.
so they're accepting it even though the public doesn't, all of us doesn't want it. Is that what's happening here? Because you almost
They-
sound like it's a done deal, and based on your comments, it sounds to me like they have the option.
Correct. You are correct. There's the option is to pass the ordinance or not. The effect of the majority protest is if a majority protest existed, the board would not have the option to adopt the ordinance and would not be able to adopt the ordinance.
But they have the option now.
They have the option from a Prop 218 standpoint. The issue of whether or not that would mean non-compliance with SB 1383 or some of the requirements that are coming down from the state that staff has mentioned is a different issue. There may be non-compliance issues there, but with respect to the discretion that the board has in adopting this ordinance, the board does have that option from a Prop 218 standpoint.
And the only reason I bring that up is having options based on looking after the public, something based on what Kim said about, she knows that there's a lot of the population doesn't get the word based on the way we're doing things. So if you have the option, why are we adopting it?
So I can answer that if you.
Well, I was just going to say, 2/3 of the people who live up here already do it. So to me, that is a majority.
So the action being proposed
2/3.
tonight is not, the action being proposed tonight is exclusively on the rate adjustment. This has nothing to do with the service. The service is done. The ordinance has already been adopted and filed with the state. We had to do it. So this service is happening no matter what happens here tonight. The rates is what the board has to take action on. If the board does not adopt these rates tonight, the existing rate schedule will remain in place, and the basic cost of service, so your containers that you have now, are actually going to go up. They're going to go up by CPI. You're not going to get that rate freeze on the 2 or 3 barrel service. So it'll go up by $1.21 if they don't adopt these rates tonight. So, and you know, the other thing to keep in mind is if you don't agree with these rates, you can still self-haul. There's no additional charge to self-haul, and everybody still gets a dump card. And that's all I have recorded. Did you have anything else?
Let's see, I had trash separation, media, dump receipts, Mr. Kennedy, giving dump cards to people, I don't know about that. The volume of trash, I think you talked about, senior difficulties, that's a difficulty, bin costs, that's all I had. So I think everything's been covered.
One question.
Yes.
So to actually vote on this to go through or not go through with our required letter or date that's already passed, no good?
Several months ago, we had several meetings on this, and the board voted to move ahead because I know we have people saying that the majority of people up here disagree with us, but again, 2/3 of the people living up here already take trash collection and pay for it. It's the majority are already doing it. So
Yeah, is that separating it like you want?
no, they
That
take
is trash collection.
they take the trash collection now.
I get that, because you have to. You don't have no choice but to get your trash collected. But when you go to.
No, I take my trash to the dump, and I've done it for 38 years. And now I'm going to have either do it myself and fill out a form, or I'm going to have to get the trash cans and separate it. So that's already been in. Yes.
Back to my question, so the fact if we have a letter and we would not like to do this, put that in, that's already null and void, that is passed, and that's not an option because that was handled X amount of months ago, correct?
Yes.
No.
For the, okay.
The majority,
we're conflating two
if I may,
issues.
yeah, the
Yes.
majority protest period was all the way through the close of the public hearing. That was an opportunity for any member of the public to raise their objection. And even considering all of the comments received today, plus the written objections that were received prior to today, that does not meet the 4,500 amount, 45 plus 100 amount that would be needed for a majority protest to occur. By the close of the public hearing, that was about a half hour ago.
Yeah, so as Kim said,
Well, I had my letter, but I waited.
It's considered a protest.
yeah,
Absolutely.
It's gonna meet the 4,500 plus, because obviously, this is the last one, and we haven't received X amount.
I think we had 5, right?
We had 5 written
Five
prior
written.
to the,
5 written prior.
you can turn them in right now. As far as I'm concerned, all of the comments that were received, oral comments.
Those are
constitute
protest comments also, yes.
Yeah.
Steve, have they ever received 4,500 protests here?
No, not here, but I've had situations where the community has raised majority protest.
I only have one recommendation for Kim. She wanted ideas. Get us one of those Amber Alert billboards. Put it out here on Phelan. And that's when you're gonna do this crap, because that's the only way the word's gonna get out.
Yeah, that would be really great, except for the dark sky ordinance. So code enforcement will not go after the pot crows that are trashing the desert. But if you try to do something that would actually help the community, you can bet that code enforcement would be out there enforcing the dark skies ordinance.
Somebody needs to fight this because it's got silly. But that's the only way I know to get the word out to everybody.
So the good people are trying to do something good or punished, while the bad people do all the crap. It's right.
Yes, welcome to California.
Okay, I think we've fulfilled
Yeah, we
all
can go to 6C.
all the questions and everything. Okay, so is there any comments or by directors?
No, I think we move on to
Director
the next agenda item.
Yes, okay. So we would move on to item B, 6B, which is discussion and possible action regarding resolution number 2023-15, adopting rates for solid waste collection service charges.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The background of this information has been discussed in the public hearing that we just had, and short of reviewing that information again, the staff's recommendation is for the board to adopt resolution number 2023-15, adopting rates for solid waste collection services charges.
Okay, Director Hayes, do you have any opening comments or questions?
I do not.
Director Phillips, do you have any questions or comments?
Just some short ones. Back when this was voted on last year on making the decision to put this in place, two of us voted no. To try to stop it. I don't like the fact that this is being forced. I voted no at the time. Sadly, the gentleman who voted no with me has passed away, Charlie Johnson. He was a good gentleman. I was proud to serve with him, very happy to serve with him, learned a lot from him. With this has nothing to do with that. Sadly, that ball started a while ago and the ball's rolling. This is strictly over the rates. This will actually stop your rates from going up for a year. They will go up regardless because CPI will kick in. The contract states that the CR&R gets CPI if we don't do this. So your bill will go up if we don't pass this today. And in some ways we're holding that off. So for the standard user that has a cart, you won't see your bill increase for a year that would have increased otherwise. It would have been an automatic thing that board would have had no choice in. So we're holding off a rate increase on you guys for a year by doing this, instead of going to the automatic what their contract says. The contract with CR&R says they automatically get CPI every year. So I will be voting yes for this. I voted no on all of this starting over a year ago. I don't like the force coming down. I'm very much a libertarian-based person. I believe that each individual has the choice on what happens in their life, and I'm going to continue that way. But this is a choice to keep your bills low for another year, is why I will vote yes today. That's it.
Thank you. Director Snyder, do you have any questions or comments?
No, I echo some of Deborah's comments about stabilization of the rates for a year. And that's all I had. Thank you.
Okay. Is there any public comment on regarding the resolution 23-15? It's in the packet. Is there anybody that would like to comment on that? Would you step up here and state your name, please?
To us, because a lot of us weren't pro it or pro the previous one, but when you hear that, well, if a certain amount of the community can say no, then you realize you actually might have a say in it, which most times when stuff comes through, it's just like it's there, you don't have a say. But when Mr. Kennedy put it in those words, it's like I'm sitting here going, man, we should have written the letter then. So I think if there's a way, as we move on in other stuff, if that kind of information can get out in the things that were being mailed, saying, guess what, if the community comes out, there's this many people that own property, if this many of them do a protest, then there's actually a chance that the board might not vote yes. That's just my comment.
So on every Prop 218 that the board has to do this for every type of rate changes, correct?
True.
218s.
Yeah, and if I may, Mr.
Yes.
President, it is, if you look on page 50, the public hearing process, there's a paragraph there that was in the notice that was mailed out, specifically says at the time of the public hearing, district's board of directors will hear and consider all protests and objections. After the public hearing, if a majority of the property owners and tenants of real property directly liable for paying solid waste and recycling service bills for the affected parcels file written protests in opposition to the proposed rate increases, the increases will not be imposed. However, if a majority protest is not received, the district's board of directors may increase the customer rates in the manner described in this notice. So that is information that is provided not only in the agenda materials, but also in the information that was mailed out to every single parcel in the district.
And that includes every Prop 218 process we go through.
But I guess what I'm trying to say is Mike and I come to almost every meeting, and when we're sitting here, it like sunk in. So I'm not saying we didn't get it in here, but it's not something that gets discussed openly. It's not something we're reading in the newspaper. It's not something that we get to see. Yeah, you know, I honestly, until Mr. Kennedy read that, I don't know how many residents are out here. So I just thought maybe it's important in the future. It doesn't, I'm not saying, Mark, I'm not saying everything you do, you have to do it. But maybe somewhere in our public information, once a year or something, we can have just a general conversation about this is when we have things come up, this is how the local community participate, and this is how the system works. That's all. Because definitely Mike and I would have written a letter about the actual trash hauling and the all that at the time.
Sure.
The Prop 218 is a little different than that. That was about the one setting the system in place.
Oh, true,
It's
yes,
different.
I
They're two
understand.
separate systems.
I do understand.
218 is a requirement for anything, increasing of rates of any utility, be it a trash service, a water, or any of the other ones that other companies provide. This is the 218 is strictly for rates. What that would have been, that wouldn't require necessarily 50% by the public. They would have to choose on us to make the decision. There would be no protest vote set up with it.
For the, when you
When we
pass
did
the
that,
trash
yeah.
one?
It would have been you guys commenting to the board.
Okay.
There wouldn't be a protest vote set up with that. I don't think so. Am I right?
Yeah, the Prop 218 process applies to
Only rates.
rates, fees, charges, and assessments, and that are property related. So the issue of the SB 1383 ordinance, as far as the particulars of implementation, that is not subject to Prop 218. I will point out, though, that, you know, not only, Prop 218, like I indicated, not only includes rates, but also includes assessments, and that also includes your standby charge. And there is a different process for assessments for what constitutes majority protest for property-related assessments, like the dump card. The reason dump card hasn't been changed all these years is because even though the value of that is more than the 8514, and for instance, your standby charge is way more than what you're charging, but the board has elected not to move forward with engaging in a Prop 218 process for that, because the process for Prop 218 property-related assessments, not rates, but assessments, is much more difficult, and that requires more of what the gentleman was talking about as far as getting votes that would be in favor of it. And that's why property-related assessments don't go through that process. But rates do go through the process that we're engaging in now, which is the traditional majority protest hearing.
And that's related to the standby charges for properties
Correct.
within the district bounds.
Correct. The water standby charges and also your dump card.
But I guess, I mean, we've had lots of meetings, and we struggle. I've been on the board for a long time, and we've tried to get the information out. We have meetings, and if it's still not getting out to people, I don't know what more we can do besides every platform that's available. So,
Okay, all right, thank you.
I just want to make a note. My husband was asking me about the meeting today, and I wasn't sure if it was, and so I contacted my friends, and they weren't able to find out for me either. So I did go on your guys' website to see if there was a post about a meeting tonight, and I couldn't find anything. So,
on the CSD website?
yeah, on the Pinion Hills one. And I went on the CR, everyone, and I didn't see anything.
Oh, the CR&R
And
site?
on the Pinion
I don't
Hills-
know whether they put
and
it on the
I went
CNR.
Pinion Hills one too, the Pinion Hills water.
The-
And she
the-
saw it, and my friend saw it on the comment, is when she found it out, so.
Yeah, if you wouldn't mind just stopping by, Linda, so she can get your contact information, and then I can walk you through where to find all of this stuff. It's very, you might not be on the right site.
Yeah, I just went on your site, and the first one it popped up, and to me, it wasn't, as an average person using it, it wasn't used correctly, so, for me.
Okay. So we are for Resolution 2023-15. Is there any further comments or questions?
I have a comment. I
Yes.
just feel that the state of California is regulating all these changes, and they want all of the different counties and cities and to implement all of this trash separating, but they're just not providing enough funding. And I'm thinking there should be something more that the state can actually do to help the county, to help CR&R. I can't even imagine how they're going to be able to pick up all these trashes and do all these runs. You know, this is a lot of additional runs.
So I can address that a little bit. In the early 2000s, the contaminant of the month was arsenic, and the state put out the mandates, and the districts had to comply. 10 years later, it was chromium-6, which we don't have an arsenic issue, we have a chromium-6 issue. The reason why it was stopped in 2015 was some large districts in Northern California sued the state about it, and the state had done a cost analysis, which was faulty, but some large districts sued them. It's very expensive, and it was halted. They then did a more in-depth cost analysis, and guess what? It's going through again. It was delayed a few years, but by pretty soon, I'm estimating next year, they'll have a chromium-6 standard. And so, yes, they're putting mandates, and they're not funding anything. And the public, the local agencies are stuck with dealing with it. That's the way it is. Everything rolls downhill, as they say. Okay, Mr. Bartz, is there any further comments or discussions on this?
No, I think we've covered this.
All right, with that, I would entertain a motion to adopt the rates for solid waste collection service charges as presented.
I'll move for
I'll make a
adoption of
motion.
these.
Director Snyder makes a motion.
I'll second.
Director Phillips, second. Any further discussion? Okay, so we need a voice vote. Director Hayes?
Aye.
Director Phillips?
Aye.
Director Snyder?
Aye.
Director Roberts? Aye. Motion carries. That moves us to item C, which is an update on the solid waste program implementation.
Yes, Kim is going to take this item.
Okay, give me 1 second here. I'm going to get my other presentation going. So some of this might be redundant just because we addressed a lot of questions earlier. So this is just on our program implementation. So we have residential applications that are going out now. We're starting with our Sheep Creek customers, and then the district customers and CR&R customers are going to have an insert in the July bills. So I apologize, some people might get some duplicate mailings if they're a CR&R customer and a district customer. But we just want to make sure that everybody gets the application and the information. So just make sure when you get your water bill from us in July that you don't throw out everything in it, and you just complete the application, put it in the return envelope with your water bill payment, and send it in the mail. There's also instructions on it on how else you can return it. We're also issuing these applications to new water customers. So as they come in and they're new to the area and they sign up for water service, they're filling out this application. So far, even though we haven't officially released this application and not including what was turned in tonight, as of yesterday, we've received 81. So people have found this thing online or in our lobby, and they're completing it and turning it in. And so of the 81, we have 35 self-haulers confirmed, 1 CR&R customer switched to self-haul, 5 self-haulers switched to CR&R, and there's 28 brand new CR&R services and 12 just confirming their existing service type with CR&R. So these are what's included. So there's a letter. So if it's sent to a district resident, it is tailored to a district resident on how to do the application and how to turn it in. There's some information on how to complete the application. The application, our pretty flyers, as Richard called them, and our what goes where. So this is the most common what goes where. This is what the county's looks like. So they sent out a bunch of words. Then you have to self-initiate a $15 fee and this application and get it into the county. So if you do happen to have property in a county area, so outside of district boundaries, this is what you'll be doing if you want to continue to self-haul. So we have been receiving a lot of phone calls, extraordinary amount of phone calls. And so what we did is we updated our phone tree to make it a little bit more user-friendly. One of the first options, so option 2, is if you have a solid waste question. It does ask you if you have a billing or service question, because that's a CR&R question. That's going to automatically route you to the local CR&R office, which they have outfitted with local customer service so they can answer local questions, because obviously corporate CR&R down the hill doesn't understand what we're doing, but Brandon does. And then if there's application questions, because we're processing those, that gets directed to Linda right there. So she'll answer your question, and if she happens to be on break, it'll be routed to somebody else. So our service rollout for residential, new CR&R customers who come in even now, they're just given the 3-cart system. Existing CR&R customers starting in July, they're going to transition from the 2-cart system to the 3-cart system. So I'll let Brandon kind of talk about that a little bit more.
Yeah, so we what we're going to do is basically cart delivery. And there's a lot of moving parts to it, and we're going to have that completed by January 1. But we're going to begin doing that, the rollout where we're delivering the 2 new carts come July. What we did do is some will just be swapping out the lid. So you'll keep your 2 current cans. We'll change the lid from a black lid to a blue lid to make it a recycle container, and then drop a green container. So pretty simple. Like we covered as well, we're also going to be taping or attaching the literature for what's acceptable in the containers on those containers when we deliver too. It's a process. It's going to take a while. It probably will take, 3, 4, 5, 6 months, but In that time, we will have delivered to all current customers that are not self-hauling. And that's the plan. And then keep your service days the same as well.
Yeah, the other thing is, just to note, and this is not what we want, but operationally speaking, and of course with the issues with labor and trucks right now, until January, and I know this is really annoying, we're gonna be collecting everything in one truck. So please don't get mad. Start practicing separating now, but if you don't wanna separate right now, don't separate right now. But just know, starting in January, we'll be collecting all of those items. So your green, your blue, and your black separately. But until January, during the rollout phase, we're gonna be collecting them in one truck. So we apologize for that. It's just, it's the most cost-effective and efficient way to roll out all the cans and then start the separate collection. And Power Cycle is aware of this.
So we can dump a little more trash then.
Kind of, yeah, for now. Get it all done now. Do your house clean out, property cleanups now.
Brian, will the garbage be picked up at the same routes as it is now, or will that change?
Yeah, so it's all going to be picked up on the same day. And when that service changes, January 1, where now we're picking up in 3 separate trucks, it will still all be on the same day.
As we currently have right now?
Correct. Now, do you have a bin or barrels?
We have a bin.
You have a bin. So we're going to do everything. We haven't done a barrel route on your route yet, right? So it's going to be a little trickier to kind of figure that out. But our goal is to, by January 1, have those kinks worked out to where we can pick it all up on the same day.
Well, we want our same driver.
Oh, yeah? Well, that will be impossible because he'll have the front loader. So the cans will have to be picked up in a completely different truck. So unless he's the fastest human being on earth, we're probably not going to be able to do it. But yeah, you'll still have the same driver for your bin, different driver for your barrels.
Okay, and our website, this has so much information on it. I'm updating it all the time. On our residential page, we do have a web form for the application. So if you are wanting to have CR&R service or just confirming your service, there's one form. And then you have a form on our website. This is an electronic form, so if you want to fill it out completely electronic, you can, to self-haul to the transfer station. You can also download and print a paper application if you want to. If you lose the one in the mail, you don't get it, you also come into the office. And then we have updated our what goes where component. It's all on that same page. We have these drop downs. So if you click on it, it says what can go in the blue cart, the green cart, and the black cart. As we find out more items, people are calling in, hey, what do I do with a 4-foot piece of aluminum? We'll throw it on there. So the goal is to have this to be very comprehensive at some point to where you'll always know what goes where. And if you have something and you can't figure it out, just call us and we will tell you where it goes. We've also been getting a lot of calls regarding household hazardous waste. So we did go ahead and throw the county's information on that. So that's like your sharps, your chemicals, oil, fertilizers, things like that. Those aren't supposed to go into our containers. We do host an event once a year, which will be advertised, should be in the fall, for you to locally drop that off, but go on this website, on our website, get this information, and it'll tell you all of the local HHW facilities where you can take this stuff. And as of right now, I did confirm with the county today, if you do have sharps, if you can't get the official sharps container, if you put your sharps in a one of those thick laundry detergent bottles, they'll accept those at an HHW facility with your sharps, because those containers are really hard to get still. On our website, we also have our requirements, that the state has imposed on us. So there's information on it, and you can click on all of the links to read more about it. We also have our frequently asked questions. So we update this as we get new information, and if anything else is asked a lot, we'll throw that on there. So just keep an eye on that. There's also a spot on that section, if you don't agree with this, which assembly members voted for the bill that imposed this on us, and we have their contact information on how you can reach them. So none of our high desert representatives at the time voted for this, way back in 2014. Our current assemblyman, who resides in Pasadena, because we were redistricted down with them, he did vote for this. So call him. We also, for our commercial side of things, we do have some exemptions that we're allowed to issue depending on what they're generating at the location. And so we've received 13 exemptions so far, and we've approved all of them. So if there's a business and they just really don't have any type of organic waste, we're not going to make them pay for that service. And this is for businesses. And so they just complete this application. We just monitor that, their trash is staying free of these items, and they're good to go. And then in our office, we've been giving out food waste pails. I am currently out. We have an order. They're going to come in July. We've given out 60. These are voluntary, and they're for your convenience. So this was really funny. So I went to a meeting, a solid waste meeting, and the city of Ontario gave every single resident one of these things, but they didn't give any information out with it. And so come trash day, they found they found a bunch of these out on the curb right next to the other barrels. And the residents thought that they were going to be collecting them separately or getting a new one every week. Some people threw them inside of the green can. It was a nightmare for them. So we didn't do that. These are optional. You can come get one from our office if you want it. And then we do have a little conversation with you and provide you some information on how to use it and what it's for. And these are great. You can throw them in the dishwasher too. So if you want one of these, just come see me in July. No, these ones, they're called Sure Clothes. When I went to an industry meeting for it, the guy that was marketing them, not only are they the least expensive one, they're very durable. You can throw them on the ground and they don't break. And you can throw them in the dishwasher and they don't leak odor. Okay, so our information thing. So we are mailing out every district resident an application with information on what goes where and all of that. After some time, probably August, September, we're going to do another postcard like, hey, have you completed your application? What do you do if you haven't received it? And so that'll all be on this card. And then it will also direct them to go online and complete the application there if they want to do that. And then approved in our budget this year, we are going to have a compost tumbler program. We're still developing exactly how that's going to work, if it's going to be a reimbursement or just a direct issue. But we're going to purchase approximately 100 compost tumblers for those who would use them and give these out. And we're working with the master composters on selecting the best option at an affordable price, which so far looks like the Miracle Grow one. Another thing coming soon, I'm working with some local, livestock owners. We're going to have a meeting next week about doing some very kind of specific outreach for those with livestock. So very interesting. If you own livestock, you actually have a lot of unique solid waste disposal needs, mainly HHW. And so we're working on an informational flyer. So when people come in and sign up for water service and they tell us they have livestock, we can give them this flyer. We'll also post on our website when it's done. But there's sharps, there's, manure, medication when you're running that type of operation. What do you do with dead chickens, things like that? What about animal bedding and animal feed that's, expired or not used? And so we're going to be putting that together to address those disposal needs. That's kind of all I have on my update on the rollout so far. And if the board has any questions.
No? Director Snyder, do you have any questions or comments?
No, I do not. I just encourage our public to call the district if they have questions or refer to our website and look for the information in the mailers in their water, please. Thank you.
Thank you. That completes item 6C. At this time, I'd like to take a 15-minute break to do some necessary things, and we will come back in at 7:20. Thank you.
Vice President, member of the boards. Yes, we're Steve. No, got it right. To kind of keep this short, well, I'll just go through the background quickly. If there's any questions, then I can get those answers to you after this. The proposed construction of a 1.5 million gallon reservoir is going to be located adjacent to the existing 6A tank, the 400,000 gallon tank, up at the south end of Sheep Creek Road. This project will increase water storage capacity in Pressure Zone 6 and will be a component of the district's Chromium 6 mitigation strategy. The board approved the 2023-2024 budget, which includes the design studies necessary for the proposed 1.5 million gallon reservoir. Construction is contingent on federal funding and the district's funding contribution. District anticipates breaking ground on this project the next fiscal year, 24-25. If you have any questions, I'm happy to answer. Today, this morning, we had our surveyors up at the site topographic surveying the remainder of that proposed location. And they had gone up there a couple years ago when we put in the pneumatic tank, when we designed that up there at the site. That'll be inclusive of that existing site, including the fence that surrounds the property. Once that is completed, the district will have the site in hand and will kind of begin the preliminary design. The anticipation is to, or the hope and the anticipation is to keep the design in-house, do as much as we can and what time allows us to do. With that said, if you have any questions, I'd be happy to answer.
Well, let's go through the directors. Director Hayes, do you have any questions or comments?
I do not.
Director Phillips?
Will this take place, will we ultimately be putting the graduation year on that tank and not the one we have been?
Well, that's a bigger tank. The other tank will sit right behind this one here, so that's always the opportunity.
It might end up being, that'd be pretty, that'd
We're
be
kind
pretty
of
cool to
thinking
see.
this tank might have a big logo on the tank
Ooh.
overlooking the valley.
Okay, it'll be neat to see this go into fruit.
Yeah, it'd be a beautiful sight to see from here.
I look forward to seeing it come into fruit.
Yes, absolutely.
Okay. Director Snyder?
No, I don't have any comments. I look forward to seeing what the report has to say. Thank you.
Okay, and yeah, the schematic is in the packet and shows, and we do have, how much did we procure from a grant for this tank?
We're in line to get a $2 million grant on this project.
Thank you. So this is an integral part of getting that. So with that, do I have a motion? Is there anybody online I should ask? No?
I'll make the motion.
Okay, we have a motion. We have a motion and a second to approve the CEQA costs. Voice vote. Director Phillips.
Yes.
Director Hayes.
Aye.
Director Snyder.
Aye.
Director Roberts. Yes. Motion carries. Thank you. Item 6E. Discussion and possible approval to enter into a professional services agreement with Wallace Group. And this is related to the existing park expansion, correct?
Yes.
Yes. Ms. Ward will be taking this item.
Ms. Ward will be taking, Ms.
Ms.
Ward,
Sevi.
Mrs. Sevi will be
Sevi.
taking
Okay.
this.
I answer by both.
I'm living in the past.
I don't think my husband's live streaming, so he won't care. So as you're aware, we were awarded an ARPA grant, and that is to do some improvements on our existing park site. We did receive 2 quotes in order to do the design and project management for this. This is something that staff probably could take on themselves, but given that there is a grant component to it, and it has to meet certain timeframes and all of the other intricacies that a grant requires, we would prefer to utilize a consultant in order to project manage this. The first quote came in at $229,000, and the second quote from Wallace Group came in at $103,987 for similar services. We are recommending Wallace Group take this on because, for one, Matt Wilkins did assist us with the ARPA grant submittal and has been very involved in the district's park projects over the past several years. And he has a good understanding of how our civic center, the park expansion, and the park improvement projects are all interrelated, and a good relationship with our existing subs. I do have him online if you have any questions for him, but we are recommending that you approve the professional services agreement with Wallace Group for project management and design work for the Phelan Park Improvement Project.
Thank you. Director Hayes, do you have any questions or comments?
No, sir.
Director Phillips?
No, they were all answered.
Director Snyder?
No, I do not.
Okay, I guess, so I'm looking at the diagram in here, and also the schedule, the timeline. I assume that fits the appropriate schedule for the demands of the project. And it looks like it's going to be finished mid-2025, is that correct?
Yeah, it needs to be completed no later than the end of 2026, but of course we want to come in ahead of time in order to do all of our out reporting and wrap up any submittals that we have.
Okay.
Mr. Vice President, if
Yes.
I may, just a point for the contract. The documents in the agenda materials beginning at page 102 contain Exhibit B documents that are not necessarily consistent with the district's standard professional services agreement. So I would recommend that they not be included as part of the agreement.
Is this Exhibit B?
Correct.
Sorry, how much page?
102.
So this is the standard terms and conditions from the Wallace Group, is that correct?
That's correct.
And not the CSDs?
No, the CSD's standard terms and conditions begin at page 79.
Yeah, they're prior to it. So your recommendation is to remove this from the?
My recommendation would be to go ahead, if the board is so inclined, to approve staff's recommendation with
Using the district's?
using the district's agreement and not and using Wallace's Exhibit A as the scope of work, but not using the Exhibit B.
Not Exhibit B, yes. Okay. With those changes, if there's no further discussion, can I hear a motion?
I'll move for hiring the Wallace.
Director Snyder?
I'll second that.
We have a first and a second. Is there any further comment? No? Okay, we'll do a voice vote again. Director Hayes?
Aye.
Director Phillips?
Aye.
Director Snyder?
Aye.
Director Roberts? Aye. Motion carries. Thank you. Okay. So now we will move on to item F, discussion and possible approval to enter into a professional service agreement with the Wallace Group for development and management for the Phelan Park expansion project. Director Bart, or General Manager Bartz.
Thank you, Mr. Interim President. I'm going to turn this over to George, and I would, in my humble legal opinion, I would exclude Exhibit B from the approval if the board chooses to do this, because we have our own standard agreement.
So we should remove Exhibit B from the packet, basically. George?
Yes. In late May of 2023, the CEQA, the mitigated negative deck study was completed. What's pending is just the notification for AB 52 before we send this out for public notice. And that's where it was submitted to San Bernardino County Land Use Services Department, that they're going to be taking the lead on this 14-acre project. Preliminary 35% design for the Phelan Community Park project was completed. This was required for the adjacent Civic Center project permitting approval. Strategically, the plan is to complete a final 35% design necessary for San Bernardino County conditional use permit for the 14-acre project, with the approval to move forward with a 50% design development prior to a 65% design development for cost estimate and grant funding opportunities. This design work will be necessary to be project ready should the district be awarded the Land and Water Conservation Fund grant submitted at the end of May. The Wallace Group project manager, Matt Wilkins, he's here with us, still with us, has been involved with the project since 2019 and was deeply involved with the initial planning efforts. Furthermore, Mr. Wilkins assisted with several grant applications related to the park, including the Land and Water Conservation Fund grant. Services will include design development for grading, landscape plans, utility, irrigation design, amenities, electrical, and project management. It is anticipated the scope of work shall be completed by the end of, well, we have a schedule attached to this agenda item. The design here that we show for the 35% will take us into the first quarter of 2024. And final completion in 2026. The staff is recommending for the board to approve the professional service agreement with Wallace Group for professional landscape architectural service for design development and management for the Phelan Park expansion project. Matt's here with us. If there's any technical questions, he'd be happy to answer. If there's any questions I can answer, I'll jump in.
Would Mr. Wilkins like to make any comments at this time?
No, but I will want to just thank the team. It's been an honor working with everyone. As you know, I've been a part of this project 4 years now in the making, and being a high desert native there, this is definitely close to heart, and you know, it's fun to see this move along, and I'm excited to continue helping the district and you all move this park into fruition, which we are hopeful to do.
Thank you very much. Director Hayes, do you have any questions or comments?
I do not.
Director Phillips?
Just that it's been a joy to see this come to fruit slowly.
Slowly?
Slowly. It's a slow-growing fruit.
Director Snyder, do you have any questions or comments?
No, I do not. Thank you.
So I just wanted to get one thing, and I'm sure it's been stated before, but the funding that we borrowed is for the district offices, correct?
That is correct.
And this is separate from that, and we do not have the funding currently for this as of this time. Okay, I just wanted to check. So this is basically so that, again, much like the CEQA, we're able to go after funding. Okay. Yes, just wanted to make sure I was right on that. Okay, any other questions or comments from the public? No, the public, they've left. A motion then.
I'll move it, the item.
We have a motion to move the item.
I'll second, and we were gonna omit Exhibit
Yeah.
B.
Exhibit B swapped out.
Yes, that's correct.
Without the Exhibit B.
Without Exhibit B, and the districts, and utilizing the district standard professional service.
Utilizing the district standard professional agreements. Okay, we have a motion and a second. Director Hayes.
Aye.
Director Phillips.
Aye.
Director Snyder?
Aye.
Director Roberts? Aye. Motion carries. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you, Matt.
All right, thank you.
Yeah, I'm afraid it's not going to be finished in time for me to see it. Okay. Moving on to item 6G. Possible adoption of resolution 2023-16 establishing an appropriations limit for fiscal year 23-24. Mr. Bartz.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. If you would like, I could read through the background on this information. I assume everybody's probably read this, and if you have any questions, I'd be happy to answer them. But staff's recommendation is that the board approve resolution 2023-16, establishing an appropriations limit for fiscal year 2023-2024.
Director Hayes, do you have any comments or questions? This is more of standard work we have to do. Director Phillips, any questions?
No questions.
Director Snyder, any questions?
No, sir, I do not.
With that, I'd entertain a motion to approve the resolution 2023-16, establish an appropriations limit for fiscal year 23-24.
I'll motion to approve.
We have a motion. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Director Snyder seconds. Voice vote. Director Hayes.
Aye.
Director Phillips.
Aye.
Director Snyder.
Aye.
Director Roberts. Yes. Motion carries. Thank you. We will move to 6H, discussion and possible action regarding enterprise capital improvement plan schedule. Mr. Bartz.
Thank you. As we're going through the rate study for the district, we also were reviewing our capital improvement projects. And if most these projects are in the top part of this on page 136. Does everybody have a large sheet too? If you don't, I can loan you mine. So I may need it back to speak in details. Thank you. So the committees and the different departments at the district have gone through the capital improvement projects, looking basically out through 2026, 2025, 2026. And we have a couple of projects that we wanted to make sure that we captured in the rate study. And these do fall under the Chromium 6 part of the budget. And we have the first one in the section 1 is the well 14, and that's the well profiling. That's not guaranteed that we're going to have to do that, but we do want to have a placeholder in there for that. We're going to move it back as far back as we possibly can. We've had some discussions on the packers that we would put in, how long they last, and not wanting to put those in before they're actually needed, so we don't let them sit there and rot for a period of time. We also have a storage tank, which is Reservoir 6A, the 1.5 million gallon tank, and this is contingent upon the federal funding of $2 million. This is in 24-25 for a total of $2.7 million for that project. This is the project that CEQA was approved on one of the last items. And the other item on here that we wanted to have on there was the Reservoir 6A, and this is for the design and studies for that project. And so it will be moving forward. And unless there's any other questions, or George, do you have any comments, or Chris? I think we're good, and staff's recommendation is that the board review and accept the enclosed capital improvement project schedule in order to move forward with the preparation of various planning documents.
Director Hayes, do you have any questions or comments?
Nope, thank
on
you
this
for the
item?
report.
Director Phillips?
No questions.
Director Snyder?
No,
Any questions or comments?
No.
Okay, with that, okay, is this just a consensus item?
I would like to have a vote on this.
You would like to have a
Yeah.
vote? Okay. So then I need a motion to approve the capital improvement schedule.
I'll move the item.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Director Hayes.
Aye.
Director Phillips.
Aye.
Director Snyder.
Aye.
Director Roberts. Aye. Motion carries. Thank you. And that brings us to item 6I. Discussion possible action regarding Special Districts Management Authority's Board of Directors election. Mr. Bartz.
Thank you, Mr. President. I have reviewed this. This is for SDRMA's election. They are looking for 3 candidates that our district can vote on to fill the positions. There are 4 people who are running. 3 of them are incumbents. And I have to say that the only one that I know out of the group is Robert Swain from Groveland Community Services District. And the staff's recommendation is that the board would pick three of the 4. You've had a chance to review the information about the candidates, and this would be sent off to SDRMA, who is our insurance carrier associated with California Special Districts Association.
The only name I recognize on the list is Aquanetta Warren, and she's in San Bernardino County, so I would support her.
Okay.
Does anybody else have any? I don't know them, so I don't know where Herlong is. Herlong Public Utilities District.
I believe that's in kind of northern California.
I looked them up, and they're like 500 to 700 miles away from here, all the other 3.
I thought they were Northern California. That's as far as I got. Director Snyder, do you have any comments or recommendations on this item?
Yeah, I do. I've worked with Aquanet in the past when she was with San Bernardino, so that's the only person I do know. But other than that, the candidates supply that as well.
So we have a recommendation for Robert Swain, for Akaneta Warren. Is there any other recommendation between the other 2? I didn't see any preference but in their descriptions for
I'm
me.
not sure.
We can always go with just the 2.
Yeah, you can vote up to 3, but you could legitimately vote 2.
I sort of like the idea with a general manager being on the group. With Sandy?
Yeah, I would agree with the general manager.
Because you already
That's
have
fine.
a director and a vice chair, that would add more of a
Sure.
business end of things.
Okay.
So Robert, how do you pronounce it?
Akaneta.
Aquanetta.
And Sandy. Is what I would choose.
Okay.
Is that just a consensus also for
We need
this?
a vote.
I believe for the ballot, we need to have a little bit more information than that, so if there could be a motion.
Okay.
I move that we pick Robert Swain, Aquanetta
Aquanetta Warren.
Warren, and Sandy, that's the
Seifert
last name.
Raffleson.
Yeah, Sandy Raffleson for the board.
I will second that.
Okay, we have a first and a second for the 3 named. Director Hayes.
Aye.
Director Phillips.
Aye.
Director Snyder.
Aye.
Director Roberts votes yes. Motion carries. Brings us to item 6J, update on the proposed civic centers and Phelan Park expansion. Mr. Bartz.
George is going to take this.
I can provide a short update on the project. We're waiting for county to approve the civil plans, the grading plans for the project. Also, we're finalizing the interior design as well as the audio-video design for the Civic Center building to be inclusive to the RFP. We should be getting the 100% RFP in hand by the end of the week for a final go-through with that being said, for the Civic Center, that pretty much is all I got. Now, for the park, as I mentioned, the CEQA has been completed, and notices will be sent out along with the AB 52, the tribes. So it was it's amazing to see that process went a lot quicker than the Civic Center, but they are so tied together that a lot of what was completed for the Civic Center was also inclusive of the 14-acre project. There was a notice too, there was a question about the parcels being merged and the zone change for the 14-acre, which was completed, which was provided to the county. So there was a lot of the checking of the box on their end on the conditions. So moving forward a lot quicker with the park project, but we're just right at the tail end of the Civic Center. So Stino is very good about keeping in touch with the county. It's almost every day on the status. So our planner, Jim Morrissey, is responding, which is good. That means he's there, but it's the other departments that kind of need to finalize the condition before we get that final CEQA approval for the project. So that's all I got. If you have anything, any questions?
Any questions, comments, criticisms?
Criticisms.
I guess not.
It's
You escaped.
Yeah, you know, it's been trying efforts working with the county. They're shorthanded. I mean, we keep hearing that. They're bringing in retired staff to work part-time to fill in the gaps. They're reaching out to consultants to help with plan checks. So that's been the struggle.
If it were a private business, it would be out of business.
Yeah,
Yeah, it would be.
of course. Okay, thank you very much for that update. We will move to item 7, which is committee reports. There is a Parks Committee meeting minutes in the packet. Engineering Committee did not meet. Finance Committee did not meet. Legislative Committee did or did not meet.
Yeah, we met yesterday. Greg, do you want to fill him in?
Yeah, we
Greg?
did on Tuesday, or yesterday on Tuesday. And so we had updates from representatives of the State Senate, State Assembly, and County Supervisor's Office. They gave us taking action brief from the CSD. One of the things that I noted was that there's the news release from Governor Newsom on the state budget. In January was projected to be $22.5 billion deficit in the state budget. The May revision projects an additional $9.3 billion shortfall, bringing the total anticipated deficit to $31.5 billion. And then there was a few things that they discussed about climate, zero emission vehicles, homeless, and so on. So that's all.
Thank you. Parks and Rec, again, there's a meeting minutes. Is there any comments beyond what's in the minutes? I guess, Greg, you were also at that.
Yeah, no additional comments.
Waste and recycling,
We meet tomorrow.
meet tomorrow. Okay. We'll move to item 8, staff and general managers report.
I have nothing to add tonight, except they have eradicated most of the grows in the community that I've seen. We've observed out in the El Mirage area, and there's still some that are going, but they're on sites where they may have had several hundred in the past, and they might have 5 or 6 now. So it's gone way down. I would say probably 95% of them are gone, which we do see that in our budget too, in the water consumption and production with ones within our district, and actually quite a few that are tucked in inside the district areas. Maybe 3 or 4 greenhouses in somebody's backyard. But they've done a really good job, and we've fought with this for several years, and I'm happy to say that it looks like we're seeing the light at the end of the tunnel with those.
Well, the most important thing is stopping, as somebody made a comment about the contraband wells that were put in, that if they're not being pumped, that won't put a stress on the basin, so.
Yeah, we've still had some conversations with Attorney Kennedy, with the county on what we think they should be doing as far as their permitting and notifying us ahead of time instead of after the fact. Mojave is kind of looking at, but they aren't really aggressive at all for what they would like to do. They just kind of want to work with the county and see what happens.
Yeah.
But I think that we do need to push forward a little bit. I don't think we need legal action, but I think we need to maybe push them a little bit to not issue these permits. A lot of these wells that are out there at these grows are just at abandoned sites now,
Yeah,
which is the potential for groundwater
which is also
contamination.
not good, yes.
Yeah.
So.
And I think the county has some responsibility in that since they issued the permits without CEQA, now we have a problem.
Yeah.
Hey,
Director
Don, I have a
Schneider,
question.
did you have
Yeah.
a question?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, I did. Thank you, Mark. This is probably for Don. Hey, Don, when it comes to permitting the wells, the San Bernardino County issues the permit to drill the well. But part of that, aren't they required to get the approvals from the Mojave Water Agency, being the basins are adjudicated and there's a baseline from them with production and fees
Yes,
associated with that?
absolutely. They should be doing that. Mojave has not been involved with that. They made a little bit of an effort some time ago, last year, to bring some of these people into the adjudication, but they have not been pushing the county to even give them notification to be able to comment on CEQA for these wells, which in my opinion is very problematic. You have, literally thousands of acre feet of water extracted from the ground in the basin out here, and we have no say-so in it by the county, who is not following what the law is. Steve can probably chime in another time. We won't get off on a tangent tonight, but I definitely believe there should be a little more scrutiny about how they pass out these well permits.
Yeah, most definitely. Somebody's trying to beat up on the county for sure. Maybe we can talk about that at a different day. That's all I had. Thank you.
Steve, did you want to comment?
I would just say that I concur completely with those sentiments, General Manager Bartz. I think that there was some maybe some noticing headway that was made, but I do believe that there should be more direct noticing to the district and to really any overlying water agency that would be affected by these applications for well permits beyond just notifying Mojave Water Agency. I think that the direct water provider should be part of that notice. I think we've established that the county has applied or had applied the wrong standard under the law when it came to CEQA analysis for these applications. And I think that they owe the overlying water purveyors notice, at least at a minimum, before issuing these permits.
Especially in an adjudicated basin.
Absolutely.
I mean, I just don't understand why the judge doesn't do something about it, so.
Yeah, that actually did come up, and the judge has asked them, why don't you put a proposal before me, or whatever they called it. They haven't done that, and I'm not sure if they will, but I think some encouragement from our district might help with that. Because if you look at our water situation, and sometime over this next year, and probably during the rate process, we'll be looking at what our water future looks like. We have a lot of carryover water from years past. You can carry it over for 2 years. And we've been carrying over in excess of 3,000 acre feet of water. By 2027 is where we hit that point to where we are overproducing again. We've had a pretty good ride since we purchased the initial dairy property in El Mirage in 2010. But we are going to be having to lease water at some point. And we're not talking, $25,000. We're talking starting at about $750,000 a year. And if they're just allowing people to keep extracting water out of the basin, this basin will never be in balance because they're going to be extracting more than the safe yield of the basin. So at some point, we need to have that discussion. Probably engineering or someplace is going to be a good place to start. But I do think we need to stay on top of that and twist the county's arm and maybe Mojave's a little bit, because I think that that we are suffering some damages because of their
Absolutely, and
negligence.
we have tried as a district, and I think Mojave needs to do something different than what they are, so.
Yeah, the county did admit in a letter that they applied, as Steve said, the wrong application of their ordinance for the wells and just issuing the permits. They admitted it, but they continue to do it.
Now, are these wells being permitted as agricultural wells, or are they potable production wells?
They are domestic wells. What the people will come in and say that they want to drill a well so they can put a mobile home out in the middle of the desert, and the county says, well, we can't do that. You know, we don't want to hold them up, so we've got to issue this permit right away. There are literally wells that are installed just for these grows.
Oh, sure.
And, you know, they're in the hundreds of acre feet a year at a single grow. It's substantial.
Yeah, I just hope the county does their due diligence on the inspection part, because the part that I'm concerned about is what happens on site with all the elaborate plumbing that they have, and what could accidentally get put back into the water supply if it's not installed correctly.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, I'm sure there's no wellhead protection there.
There's no well. I was out at, I was looking at one of the sites out in El Mirage, and they had drilled a new well, about 100 feet away from a well that had been drilled probably back in the 40s or 50s. And that well that was drilled in the 40s or 50s was just open. You could drop a rock in there and it goes all the way to the bottom. You know, I don't know the depth or anything about that well, but they're just open holes in the ground for contamination.
Yeah.
Thank you. I appreciate the additional information.
Okay.
Okay, thank you.
My worry goes beyond just that is, in the 80s, we had a little girl fall down one. And there's the physical danger of that, just out there in the desert, people walking.
There is, some of these wells easily could be big enough. There are some very large wells, 24-inch casings out near the dairy, but they actually have a plate on top.
Yeah.
These smaller ones are probably an 8-inch casing. So a small child could actually fall in. I think there needs to be some discussion.
Okay, let us move on to item 9, director's reports. We'll start with Director Hayes. Do you have anything further?
I just want to let everybody know I will not be here for the June 28th meeting.
Thank you. Director Phillips? I see you have a sheet in the
I
packet.
attended last month, this is in the packet. I also attended the TAC meeting from Mojave Water Agency on the first of the month. And the amount of water we got into the valley and into the Mojave Water Agency area is very impressive. I'm looking forward to seeing what our wells come up with. The amount they listed were pretty wild.
Yeah, we've already seen some of our wells react to the wet winter just due to the pressure. It's actually not the water flowing down there, but the pressure that's pushing
it out this way.
Yeah, which increases the well levels. And our production has been down because of the rains.
Yes, it's cold weather too. I mean, we haven't had a 85-degree day up here yet, so. Okay, that's it? Yeah, I looked through this, and when I went by Barstow and it was flowing past the highway, I knew there was quite a bit of water coming down.
Actually, that water's right now recharged coming out of the aqueduct.
No, this was back in.
Right now, the water that you see in the Mojave River is coming from the recharge. They're taking 100% allotment, and I forget what it was. There's something 21 where they have to take the excess water because the state has so much water. They're trying to put it everywhere they can.
Well, they're trying to refill Newberry Springs, so. Director Snyder, do you have any further comments or report?
No, I do not. Thank you.
And I do not have anything further either. So we will move to item 10, correspondence.
have our items in the packet. Our classes started this week, so we are actually completely booked for our painting in the park class tomorrow, and our archery program kicks off tomorrow. Our summer movie night was very well attended, our first one last Friday. Our baking class is completely full, and we have an informational flyer about finding leaks in your system. And then, of course, in July, you're going to see all of those solid waste inserts. And my husband is watching, Mr. Bartz.
Thank you, Mrs. Sevy.
Okay. All right, move to item 11, prior action items.
There were none?
Current action items.
There are none.
Setting agenda for the June 28th, which will not be attended by Director Hayes.
Yeah, we have one notice hearing for the conservation ordinance. We'll be rescinding stage 2 and moving into stage 1. So that's the one item that staff has so far.
Okay, and if any director in the future between now and then comes up with something, please contact staff. If there's nothing further before the board, we will stand adjourned at 8:05. Thank you all.